Good morning, YouTube family. South Texas Prepper here. Today's December the 11th, 2025. Um, Today, guys, I want to talk about. I might have touched on it already. By the way, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Hope y'all had the best day y'all could have. Um, Today, what I wanted to talk about, guys, and a lot of people are touching on it. Content creators, but excuse me, I don't think enough people, everyday people, realize the seriousness of what's coming, and what I'm talking about is a digital ID. Um, I've been talking about it in one form or another. Many people have for like few years now, and I've been seeing it creep up, in the workplace, in the form of like having uh, this is just a starting out. When you're having to log into certain things, they're using a lot of authenticators and things like that. You got to download uh, a app to be able to, log into another app. You know what I'm saying? And of course, let me fix this camera a little bit right there. Of course, they say security, you know, so people don't get hacked, stuff like that. Um, so look, guys, I'm gonna go back in time, about 2011, late 2011, early 2012, when what I call waking up. Um, this digital ID thing, the digital, whatever you want to call it, the avatar, which is what they're gonna make an avatar out of everybody, right? They're gonna tokenize, you know, basically assets, right? So one of the things that made me wake up, that made me what quote unquote a prepper, preparedness, was that I realized that the financial system, right, the money, what it was, what the way it really worked, the way that commercial law was placed over natural law, right? God's law, man's law kind of like took over. And one of the first things that I had learned, and although it was, people would make fun of it, when I would try to explain, like, so when I woke up, I try to like tell everybody, what I was learning, right? Wanted to like shout it out to the world. And a lot of people that work in real estate, that work in banking, well, not really so much banking, but that work in like maybe like CPAs that are, certified public accounts, stuff like that, they kind of know, they've touched on what I had learned, which was the straw man, right? Taking a natural person, a flesh and blood person, and basically turning them into a corporation, right? So that they could, what they call, navigate the seas of commerce, right? Without an ID, without social security, all these things, you can't do anything, right? You can't get a job, you can't open up a bank account, all these things, can't drive a car, etc., etc. So, but it was so convoluted, right? The way they did it, the process, right? It was so convoluted that, trying to explain, something that's kind of abstract to the typical person was very hard. And so what we're seeing with the digital ID, with the avatar, is just the modern day version of the straw man. So basically, just, I'm gonna explain it in a nutshell, and I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about. It's real. It is. That is the way the world is, right? It's just that some people find it incredible. They're so blocked into the, into what they've taught us, or the way they taught us what the world is like. They can't really break out of that. They can't break out of that mental prison that they've put us in. But basically what it is, for those of you that don't know, so a flesh and blood person cannot commingle with a corporation, cannot contract with it, because a corporation is not, it's basically on paper. That's why, like, people that own companies, big corporations, you don't, if you bring litigation against that person, against that man or woman, you're not really bringing it against that man or woman. They've set up a corporation, right? That has basically more rights than we do, right? Citizens United makes sure that they have basically more rights than a real man and woman does. Anyway, so what they did was they, created like a duplicate, right? They made they create your identity. You gotta get an ID, driver's license, whatever. And so in order to do business, they, what they do is they create a corporation so that now you can do business, right? So that they can make money, basically, so that you can get fined, so you can get taxed. That's why they did that. And they start, along the way, they're able to take our property, take our assets. You know what I mean? This digital ID is the modernized version. Now that the technology is there, they're able to do that, like, more efficiently. And now they have AI. So this digital ID, this avatar, same thing as it's the same thing as the Strawman. There's a lot of videos on YouTube, Rumble. There's, if I can find them, I'll post them in the description. I used to have a lot of them saved, but they took them off. They're not there no more. I think with it was like a catch-22 for whoever's running everything, right? And that's corporations, banks, the super wealthy, whatever they say goes, because they have all the money. But anyway, a lot of videos were around, but I think with the technology, people started, with the internet, people started able to learn what was going on, because this system was really was brought into existence basically in 1933, when with the creation of the Social Security Administration. Another thing that happened in that time was FDR confiscated gold, right? So this, what we're seeing, guys, is an acceleration. The technology has allowed them to take more of our stuff. They've created laws to be able to do that. They've created legal, I won't say laws, because laws, are, like I said, they're natural law, right? These guys have created laws like by edict, right? In order to be able to legalize the theft of the people, the looting of the planet, which is what they've done, is what they're doing, what they're gonna do. If you have property, what do? They raise your property taxes. You've paid your home or whatever, but you're always paying property taxes, one thing or another. Or they'll come and rezone, cities. They're very corrupt. Counties, these people are scumbags, in my opinion. They say, they're gonna help for the city, get jobs, whatever. But I just wanted to touch on that today, because I don't think a lot of people understand the seriousness of the digital ID, because it's like a handcuff. It's basically they tokenize all the assets, and they're in control of it, right? And one thing I learned, guys, is that it doesn't matter who owns a thing, who owns a land, who owns a house, Doesn't matter who owns a certain thing, right? What matters is who controls it. That's what matters. And y'all can look into all those things. Um, this thing with the economy, there's people that are doing well. There's people that are doing okay. Depending on what field you're in, where do you live, what state. Like here in Texas, where I live, there's a lot of energy, a lot of oil. Um, like it or not, the solar panels and all these other alternative sources of energy, it's not enough. It won't keep up. Solar is good for like a house, maybe like a little community, one individual building or a business, whatever. That's great. It makes sense. But the world will always need oil, nuclear maybe. But here in Texas again, there's natural gas, oil. There's still manufacturing in Texas. A lot of money is coming into Texas. A lot of money from the West Coast, especially from the West Coast. They're kind of messing it up a little bit because they're bringing in their socialist ideology. But it is what it is. But that being said, doesn't mean that the economy, people are not feeling it. High prices, utilities going up, the price of food, especially the food, guys. And one thing I want to say real quick, I've been prepping for years, since maybe like 5 years before, right before COVID hit. Right before COVID hit in 2019, toward the end of 2019 in the fall, you started hearing about the repo madness, right? It was around September 2019. And I had been a prepper for years, right? But I never really, it was like a prepper in name only, right? I knew what was going on. And I always said that if I ever see some kind of a catalyst, some kind of event that happened, I would start, I would speed it up. I would start prepping, speed it up. And my signal was the economy in 2019. I started hearing about the repo madness, the repurchase agreements, and liquidity was drying up. But what kickstarted for me was the repo madness, and then you started hearing about COVID in China and Italy and all these things. And then in February, in 2020, the stock market fell really bad. Like it dropped like 2,000 points or something like that. That was my signal to start prepping. I've been prepping like just real steady. And I'm gonna tell you guys, these preps that I have, the food canned goods and different, I have all kinds, and all the preps that I've had, food is stuff that we actually eat. Excuse me. Those preps have really helped us because the groceries are really high, especially like meat, like beef, chicken, like just ground beef, whatever. We've had to supplement with the preps, what I call preps, right? They've really come through. And there was a time when I was like, man, maybe I overdid it. Maybe I overdid it with the cans, with the food and all that, because I figured, again, because of the economy, the dollar's gonna start getting worse, dropping more, prices are gonna get high. But we really weren't using them that much, right? I do rotate out, don't get me wrong, but this past year we really started using them for like meals, you know what I mean? So again, it goes back to the basics, right, of this channel is preparedness, and that's really helped my family, our household. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to me let y'all know what I feel is the important thing is the digital ID. Prepare for it. Just prepare for it as best you can. Look into it, read into it, see the things that it does. In Alaska, they just passed, they're gonna go digital ID. I mean, they're implementing it, and so it's coming. Just have to prepare for it. If there are things that you can do, learn the legal aspects. If you can, start doing some research, right? There's people that are preparing for it. You know, they're studying. What does this mean? What is it? You know, what are your options? Is it mandatory? A lot of places you're gonna need digital ID, man, to work, stuff like that. So just be preparing yourself. I just want to give it, you know, let y'all know that. And I just really wanted to talk to you guys. I've been wanting to talk to y'all, my subscribers, my friends. Y'all are my friends, and I really appreciate y'all being here. I'm thinking about doing a live stream. A long time you had to have so many subscribers. I believe I have over 500. I believe I can do a live stream, so I'm gonna look into that. I just really want to talk to y'all, and because a lot has changed. I've been spacing out my videos because it's like, well, dang, you know, that's what I was talking about. I've been shouting this out like for years, and but I want to talk to y'all, especially with the economy, how it is. How are y'all dealing with it? How are y'all doing? But anyway, guys, it's good talking to y'all. You know, just hang in there, man. And the thing is, the old way of making money was going to work. That's the old way. You gotta start a business, start investing, all these other things. There's so many other things now. So anyway, guys, you know, y'all have a great day. Y'all take care of each other and love each other out there, because that's what we're here for. God bless.